So the video is going to be organic because I've been trying to find a place where I can sit and record. But it feels like people keep on showing up from everywhere. And I'm going to talk about the family curse. I have about 5 examples. There could be signs, okay? And again, you guys have to remember, this whole thing is not personal, okay? These videos, they're not personal. This is simply information. So when you can process this information and use it for your own advantage in some way or the other, and you can learn from it, the better for you. So do not think about the triggers that these videos are being done to trigger you or things like that. You need to know. Knowledge is power, okay? And I will speak about these curses from a black sheep perspective, because there is things that we understand as black sheep of the family that other people around us may not see. We may actually be able to understand those things. A family can be cursed in different ways. So all the families are different, okay? So they will always be different. One family may be different from the other one. And these curses may have been passed on from previous generations. All these curses may be created. This is where I want you guys to listen very closely. The curses in those families could have been adopted or passed on from previous generations. All they could have been simply created in that current generation. So what do I mean? If they have been passed on from the previous generations, it has simply been a recurring pattern. Are you guys following? It has been a recurring pattern that has been happening for hundreds and hundreds of years. Now for the black sheep, you already know what I'm talking about. And then, the ones that are created in that current generation that you are, there's a very big chance those curses could be established in that current generation, and they are going to now continue being passed on to the future generations to come. Are we following? How do you know about these curses that we're talking about here? How do you tell? I'll give you about 5 of them. The first one. If you are in the family where there is unexplainable or sometimes accidental deaths, for some reason, it could be like every year or every 2 years or every 3 years, okay? In that family, somebody passes on, somebody dies for some mysterious reason. Probably there was an accident. Maybe they fell ill. Maybe something happened to them. There's something happened and somebody just passes on. And when you're looking closer at those families, you realize also that these things are happening in patterns. It could be every period of 2 years or sometimes every period of 3 years. But there's a sequence that you're following, and you're realizing after a number of years or whatever, a period of time, there is somebody that is passing on in that family. That is most likely a curse that is running in that family that many of you may not even be aware of, and it has been happening, actually recurring for generations. It's just because at some point you were not aware of it, okay? That is number 1. When you experience recurring deaths, unexplainable or sometimes accidental deaths in that family, which are happening in a recurring cycle every period of years or every period of time, whatever, there's a death happening in that family. And mostly those deaths are usually untimely deaths. It's not people dying of old age, knowing that, okay, so they have grown old at some point in time and their time has come. They are simply unexplainable, accidental deaths happening in that family. That is most likely there's a curse. That's a family curse happening in that unit. The second one I'll talk about, example of a family curse, is when you experience a certain type of illness, okay? It could be a cancer, could be HIV, it could be something with the skin, it could be something genetic. There is something in that family. That's the reason why sometimes when you go to these doctors, they're asking you, have you got a genetic problem in your family? Is something probably that has been running within your family that we need to know? When you're ticking those boxes, you know what I mean? So sometimes you may tick some of those boxes. There is a genetic sickness that has been happening in that family, and for some reason it keeps on repeating itself. Are you guys following? You could have recognized that, okay, so in the past generations there were some uncles who used to die due to a particular illness, and then now you're seeing that illness reappear in that current family. And you're looking back and you're seeing that you've been seeing this pattern. It has kept on happening and coming back in those generations, in that family generations. So it has been happening for generations of years. There's a very big chance that that is also a family curse. It has just been a recurring cycle of the same situation, okay? Those are sicknesses and illnesses and different types of disease, okay? The third one that you may be dealing with a family curse is when something happens in that family and it feels like generational poverty. For some reason, that family is poor. You know, when I'm talking about poor, I'm talking about they do not have any chance in whatever it is they do. Whatever it is they try, wherever they go, it looks like the curse is following that family, and it's like money has already completely forgotten about that family. It's the reason as to why you hear a lot of times the black sheep are called curse breakers, because those people, they come into those units and they defy those kind of curses and they go ahead to become the very first millionaires in their family. So they are breaking those kind of curses of generational poverty. So when you look in that family, you realize that back in the days there was the ancestors who were already swimming in poverty. And then when they left, that poverty has spread on into that current family. So everybody is in cycles of poverty. It looks like there's nothing they can do that will ever progress. You open up the business, is dead. You do this, is gone. You have lost your money, everything. Banks are after you. Generational poverty is running in that family. Most of the times, that kind of poverty has been a recurring cycle that has been happening for generations of years. The previous ancestors, it was the same story. They were dealing with a lot of poverty. None of them ever really made it in life. And they have always been struggling with money and finances and everything. Okay? That is the third one. Another family curse I can talk about, which is the fourth one, is when in that particular family, members of that family, it feels like nobody can get married. There is members in that family who get married for 3 months, 4 months, and then they divorce. They come back home. They find another man. They go get married for 2 weeks. Maybe they get married for 2 years. They come back home. So they are dropping in and out of their homes, getting married and coming back, getting married and coming back. Even some of them have never been proposed to ever since they was adults. Nobody ever came to them and even teased them a little bit that they are intending even to marry them. Even the ones who have proposed to marry them, they have refused to marry them. So when that thing is happening and you realize that there is so many members in that family that are actually stuck in the home, they are stuck at home, they cannot find a partner, a spouse to get married, they cannot start a family, it's like it has been happening. You may even sometimes look back in years and you realize that even the previous ones, they were usually having kids out of wedlock. So they never really got married. They just went around and slept with somebody, they had kids, but they never actually got married. Even the ones that were married were usually getting divorced at a very young age, at a very early stage. It is an example that most likely that family has also been cursed, okay? And like I've said, guys, in this video, sometimes I'm talking about these things, they are triggering, okay? So you may be a person who may be fighting with the truth, and you are struggling to accept this truth, but you know that is the truth, okay? So it's not intentional. Just get the information and see how to process it, and that can help you in your journey, because I've told you again, knowledge is power, okay? And the truth can set you free. Another type of a family curse that could have been happening in the family, or is currently happening in the family. If you have a family where there is people that are usually having problems too, or they cannot actually get pregnant, okay? So you guys have heard about this barrenness, where sometimes there is women, there is girls and ladies in that family, and for some reason they cannot conceive, okay? So there may be sometimes having partners, marriages or whatever, but they cannot conceive for some reason. They are going to different types of medication. They are trying here, they are trying different types of herbs, they are trying different types of medication, nothing is working. Prayers, nothing is working. For some reason, they are failing to conceive. No matter how hard they try, or no matter what they do, they cannot conceive. That is also an example that there is a family curse actually going on in that family, okay? Even some of them who have conceived, they have actually had, what do they call it? The miscarriages, okay? They have miscarried, have miscarriages with those pregnancies. Is also another example of a most likely recurring curse that has been happening in that family for generations of years, okay? And then the last one, which is a very powerful one, I want to talk about example of those kind of family curses, is when you have different types of addictions affecting those families, okay? And addictions come in so many ways. Addictions can be sex, addictions can be drugs, addictions can be porn, or it can be so many things, different types of addictions, okay? When you're talking about addictions, and you have to be very careful, because sometimes when you look very closely at these addictions, you may also realize that these addictions have been recurring, okay? So they've been happening. So for example, that family has got a drug problem, okay? And now you're seeing even the ones before that, your previous, the other family before you, they also had the similar types of addictions. They were also drunk people, or sometimes they were drug addicts. So they had some form of addiction in that family. So this thing is also a recurring cycle, okay? If you're having a family whereby there's different members of that unit that are struggling with so many different types of addictions, there is a chance that that is also a family curse that you've been dealing with this entire time. And then I will give you the last one, which is a bonus one. I said 5, but I think I might have around 6, because these are just coming in by download. There is a possibility that the family could have been cursed, or is cursed, or has been cursed, when you're starting to register traces on the patterns of narcissism, okay, psychopathy and whatever, this kind of abuse, psychological abuse. It has been happening within your fathers who are very abusive, your mothers, some of your siblings are very abusive, they are very toxic. So there are these kind of toxic patterns that are happening within that unit. There's a very big chance as well, ladies and gentlemen, it's a family curse that you're dealing with, okay? Those kind of things are, that kind of toxic cycles, they are repeated cycles. So they may have happened previously, and then they are going to carry on and be passed on to the next generation. So those are some of the things that they call generational cycles, okay? They keep on repeating and repeating until somebody has got to come in and break those cycles, okay? The black sheep of the family. So if there's a family curse that I've not mentioned in this video, and most likely you can remember of, you can think about, you can drop that in the comment section below. Let us know about it. And until then, you guys know that I do love and appreciate your support. You can book a session. You may donate or support my channel if you want to. Everything you need, you will find it in the description below. And until then, catch you guys in my next one. Desmo signing out. Much love and blessings. Peace.